Hi, my name is Ray Zukowski, and this is the consultation. First contact. The first contact that we have is usually a phone call or a meeting with someone. And when you do that, you should always make sure that you answer your phone professionally. Hi, this is Aldebaran Hypnotherapy. My name is Ray Zukowski, certified hypnotherapist. How may I help you today? When you speak with the person on the phone, make sure you get their first name and last name and get the spelling of their name and so that you can pronounce it correctly. Get the client's phone number. Sometimes we think that, we can capture the phone number from our phone ourselves. We always like to make sure that we get the phone number that's best to return to the client. Occasionally we get a client that calls us from work or from some other number, and they may not want someone calling back on that particular number. So make sure you get that correct phone number to be able to reach the client back. And find out, why did they call you? What is their particular issue? Sometimes people are just fishing for price. They'll call up and they go, what do you charge for a session? If that's what they're calling for, they just want to get an idea, we always say, well, give me an idea what kind of issue that you're calling about, because everybody's needs for hypnosis are different. It's not always about the price. It's about whether you need 2 sessions, 3 sessions, 5 sessions, and it's about getting to the core cause of your issue, because that's the unconscious motivator. And unless we have a good idea of how to get to that core cause, that's what determines how many sessions you'll have and how much it is. We always start off with a free consultation. Would you like to come in for a free consultation? We always do this, and if they insist on telling what your price is per session, I just go ahead and tell them. But I always make sure that they understand that it's important for any hypnotherapist to be certified and to think about getting to their core cause, because that's what it really is about. Then find out a little bit of demographics from your client. How did they find you? Did they find you on internet, in a phone book? Did a friend refer them? Get an idea so you know where they found you. And this, very often, if people are finding you from a particular part of town for weight loss, maybe you should spend more time doing more advertising in that area, because that's where your clients are coming from. And the most important part of the phone call or the meeting is to set the consultation appointment. Your job is not to spend too much time on the phone explaining what hypnosis is. Have the client come in for a free consultation. Now, does a consultation take more time, effort for you? Yes, it does. But when we have clients come in and we explain to them about hypnosis and how it works, and put their minds to ease about all the things that are necessary, about 99% of the time they're willing to take our services, and they're very happy that they found us. So when you set the appointment, you want to mark your calendar. And the way that we do this will give you a little system if you have no other of your own. We put their full name, we put their phone number, and we put in parentheses, is it a consultation? Is it a first session? And then briefly state what the reason is of where they do that. Now, we keep this in a Google Calendar, so you can pretty much check it anywhere. You can check it on your phone, you can check it on a computer, and always remember that it's in your calendar. Call and confirm the day before that the client is aware of the appointment. Sometimes they get busy with other things and they forget, and you don't want them not to show up and leave you with a big blank. So call the day before and confirm the appointment. So here's a little picture of what it looks like when we're inputting into the Google Calendar. At one time we had 8 hypnotists, and qigong and massage therapists working for us. So we always started off with the initials of the first person and then the name of the client, weight management, session 1, and their phone number. So we'd have a good idea of what's going on. You can add other things. We also would color code it on our calendar. So if you take a look here, this is what it looks like when you're looking for a week's worth of things on the calendar. You can set it for a week or a month or a day. This helps you to be organized and keep everything flowing smoothly. So meeting and greeting the client. You know, when your client comes to the door, they're just another client, right? Well, that's not the best way to think about it. A better way to think about it is when your client is expected to arrive, begin imagining that this is not just a client, but think in your mind, this is your best friend coming to visit you. So how would you greet your best friend? Warm, friendly, congenial. This is a great way to do this. When you do this, you meet your client and your client will feel the difference in how you're greeting them. Gives them a very nice warm welcome and it begins to build what we call rapport with your client. So here are the consultation objectives. There's 5 things to accomplish in the consultation, plus we'll give you kind of a bonus for doing it this way. Number 1 is building rapport, and we'll explain what that is. Releasing the client's fears about hypnosis. Building mental expectancy. You want your clients to be able to think that this is going to make the change that they so desire. And then you gather information about your client and maybe family, friends, job, and then show the client the power of their imagination so they can feel confident that hypnosis will work for them. So number 1, building rapport. So what is rapport and why do we need it? Well, rapport is moving your client into sync with you. You know, people like to be around people that are like themselves. We usually hang around with people that have a lot of the same ideas, feelings, even within our social network, people that are within our own class of money and education. These are the things that are building rapport. Well, here's some tips for building rapport. Rapport is kind of like a dance. It's where you move one direction and they move the other, and they move the other direction and you move that way. It's like mirroring and matching. If your client moves forward, they're interested in what you're talking about, gradually move forward and kind of match the way that they're sitting in their posture. If they move back and they cross their arms a little bit, you know, wait a few moments and then you move back and maybe just kind of cross your arms a little bit yourself. Not trying to be exact, but similar. Matching movements and doing things, they can either see it as you're matching them or mirroring them so that they begin to feel comfortable that you're in the same relationship to where they are. Now, there's another way that you can match things. If your client comes in and speaks very, very quickly, what you should do is change your pace, and you should begin to speak much more quickly to match the client. If the client comes in and speaks in a really deep voice, you might want to change your volume a little bit. Maybe it's a little different. You might even take a look at the style that they speak. Sometimes people talk a certain way, and if you kind of, without being too far off, can match them a little bit, they feel a little bit more comfortable speaking to you at the right speech rate, volume, and style. And sometimes you want to think about the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic predicates. When you're working with your client, what representational system are they working with for you? Sometimes your client will say, "Oh, I see what you mean." Sometimes when you look at that "I see" part, your client is much more visual, and you might want to be talking to them in more visual type sentences. And that feels right to me. Your client might be more kinesthetic, and you might want to offer some words in your speech that helps them to feel right. It kind of sounds and you can feel it's a light touch, and it's a just a comfortable feeling when you're in hypnosis. And then, that sounds like the right course. Sometimes your client is auditory, and they like to hear more things that way. So if you think about the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic predicates, this may give you a, a insight to the representational system of your client. So 2, releasing fears. How do you release fears? What fears might your client have about hypnosis? Well, they might want to know, are you registered and certified? They might want to have a good idea that you're qualified to do something good with hypnosis. And a good many of my clients come in and they go, I'm not sure I can be hypnotized. They kind of assume that all those other people out there can be hypnotized, but that they're different and they probably can't be hypnotized. You'll have to reassure them that almost everybody can be hypnotized. People are concerned about, will they lose control under hypnosis? Are you going to be able to make them do something that they wouldn't normally do? Um, are they going to blurt out some hidden secrets that they don't want anybody to know? Help your client understand that no one ever loses control. Will I be asleep in hypnosis? People need to understand that people are not asleep under hypnosis. Just because they look very comfortable and relaxed as if they're asleep in hypnosis, assure them that they're very, very much attuned to everything that you're saying, even though their body might be very much relaxed and what we call cataleptic. Will I remember what went on during hypnosis? Well, everybody remembers what went on in hypnosis. You're not asleep. Occasionally a client might even be so relaxed that they snore, but they're not necessarily asleep. And if you set up finger responses, idiomotor responses, they will still be able to respond to you. And I always assure my clients that they'll remember everything. And even while they're under hypnosis, I give them the suggestion that they'll remember everything that went on during this session. And then one of the other fears is, what if I can't wake up? No one has ever gotten stuck in hypnosis. If you were to get up and walk out of the room while your client is in deep hypnosis and not come back, after about 4 or 5 minutes, your client would automatically wake up on their own. So these are the releases for all the fears of hypnosis. Hi, I'm Ray Zukowski, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about what hypnosis is and how it works. Hypnosis is really a natural state. We go in and out of hypnosis all the time. When we're watching TV and we feel emotional and a little tear trickles down, we're in a state like hypnosis. Most people can recognize they've been driving down the highway and they look around and they go, where did those last few miles go? Highway hypnosis. So people go in and out of hypnosis all the time. It's a very natural state. So let's take a little bit of look and see what's in the conscious mind and what's in the subconscious mind. In our conscious mind is our short-term memory. We don't have to remember going to the store to pick up bread, eggs, and milk. We can keep that in our short-term memory. We don't have to remember what we had for lunch 3 weeks ago. It's just not important to us. Our logic and our rationale are there. We know that 2 and 2 is 4, and we keep track of all of the logic that way. Our willpower is there. And so many people try to make changes with willpower, but willpower is only meant to be that little short-term thing that gives us a short-term push, but it's not meant to be long-term. The long-term stuff happens in our subconscious mind. All of our inspiration for new ideas is in our conscious mind. When you're ready to make that great next invention, comes from your conscious mind, that inspiration. And then we also have what's called conscious resistance or critical factor. And the critical factor or conscious resistance is kind of like the gatekeeper. When you want to go and get something done, and sometimes you go and you look and there seems to be a person behind the desk in front of you and they're just not letting you get to where you want to be. That's the gatekeeper. And when we're using hypnosis, we want to be able to bypass the gatekeeper and be able to get to where the real issue is in our subconscious mind. So what's in our subconscious mind? All of our body functioning is in our subconscious mind. While you're sitting and watching this little short video, you're not aware that you're digesting food. Your body is doing that automatically. It's pumping the blood through your body. Every function that happens is in your subconscious mind. It's your protector as well. You know, when you go outside and it's cold and you begin to shiver, you're shivering because your body wants you to move those muscles and keep you warm. Your subconscious mind is always your protector as well. All of your long-term memory is in your subconscious mind. And all of the memories from this moment all the way back to when you were first born are in your memory, in your subconscious mind. And along with that are all of your emotions. And all of the emotions that you have are tied to memories. And very often you can have a memory and you have a very strong emotion that goes with it. And sometimes you have a very strong emotion and it invokes a memory that you may have been unaware of for a long time. All of your beliefs are stored in your subconscious mind. Your beliefs are things that you went through over and over again, and you've come to accept them in your mind. Those are your beliefs. All of your habits are in your subconscious mind. All those things that you want to work with, and most of our habits are good. If you take your keys and put them in the same place every day, that's a good habit because you know exactly where your keys are going to be whenever you put them there. But some of our habits, like overeating or smoking or different things that we want to make changes for, we have to reach the subconscious mind to be able to make those changes. And your imagination is in your subconscious mind. Your imagination is the playground of the subconscious mind. So when you sit sometimes and just take a few moments to daydream or to meditate, you're in your subconscious mind. So when we get ready to do things, we need to go look for the core cause of an issue. We call it core cause, and it's childhood issues. Maybe something happened to you in your childhood, and maybe you got stung by a bee, and you became afraid of bees for the rest of your life until we make the changes in your subconscious mind. Sometimes we have unprocessed emotions. Are there things that you are maybe repressing within your mind because they're too difficult to bring out and face consciously? Sometimes adverse events. Sometimes we've been in different things that occurred during our life, and it's created an emotional issue that needs to be released. And we also have things that we call anchors and triggers. The first time we've done something, um, maybe if it's a smoker, sometimes a smoker gets into their car, they turn the key on, they turn on the radio, they light a cigarette.
The anchor is lighting the cigarette, and every time we repeat that pattern, that's the trigger that causes it to happen over and over again. And all of these are lurking in our subconscious mind, waiting to pop out at the appropriate time, or very often the inappropriate time. So it's hypnosis time. What happens with hypnosis? Your physical body relaxes, you're comfortable, peaceful, safe, and your subconscious mind remains fully awake. It's open for appropriate suggestions and to make the desired changes. No one can make you do anything that you don't want to do under hypnosis. So if you come to me and you say, I would like to change this, but I really don't want to, I can't force anybody to make changes that they don't want to do. What we call reframing the core is that issue that you're looking to change, that habit that's been bothering you. Um, we call it reframing the core cause. So you're in your conscious mind and you come to our office and we help you to go into hypnosis. We're using what we call an induction. It's talking to you using a method that helps you to get to a place where you're relaxed and comfortable. And once you're there, you're working at the subconscious level. And we always establish what we call a peaceful, safe place. And it's a wonderful place just for you, and it's your safe, peaceful place. And anytime we're doing anything with hypnosis that needs to be, you know, careful about, maybe you have an emotional issue that you're afraid to really face at the moment, you can always return to your safe, peaceful place, and you'll be there safe. Open to appropriate suggestions when you're in this level of hypnosis. And I do mean appropriate suggestions, suggestions that your mind is willing to accept. We bring you to the place where you are now facing your core cause, finding out why are you overeating or why are you smoking? Why do I feel stressed all the time? Or any other kind of issue like phobias or pain management. There is usually a core issue. And we take that core issue and we reframe it. We use a number of different methods to change how you look at it and feel about it and release it completely. And once it's been released, take you back to your safe, peaceful place. You're all done with that. Now you get to move forward. Happy, letting all that old thing go. Your weight doesn't have to be, a struggle anymore. You stop smoking easily. All of these things happen with hypnosis. So when you're ready to make changes at any different thing that you want for hypnosis, please contact us at Aldebaran Hypnotherapy. Our phone numbers are here, 253-223-9332. That reaches me directly. And if you call 253-279-9944, you'll reach Joni directly. And our websites are joniwileycht.com. That's our hypnosis website. And aldebaranhypnotherapy.com is our training website. We offer a 220-hour client-centered hypnotherapy training program, which leads you to become a fully trained, certified hypnotherapist. So if you're interested in any of this, please feel free to contact us. Thank you and enjoy.
Step number 3, building expectancy. Your client needs to be able to feel that you're going to be able to help them with hypnosis. And very often they've been carrying something inside of them for a long time. It's been that unconscious motivator that's been causing them to do something. And now is the time for you to give them the idea that they're going to be able to release the problem that they've had. So you might start off with, I once had a client just like you that had a weight issue, and After I worked with that client for just 3 sessions, she began to change her weight, reduce, and move towards her goal. So this is a good one. I once had a client just like you. The client puts themselves into the status of someone that you've already worked with. And they can feel like, oh, it worked for someone just like me, it can work for me. Begin to have your client imagine how things would be like when they were different. What if everything went just the way you would like during hypnosis? You reduced your weight, or you stopped smoking, and what would that feel like if everything went just the way you would like it? And then you want to move them sometimes into the future after they've already been successful. How would you feel after you've been without this issue for 6 months already? You're living your life normally without this issue. You're feeling good, looking better, you're less stressed, or whatever it needs to happen for your client. Now, very often when I build expectancy for the client, in your consultation, keep plenty of boxes of tissues around. If you've built good rapport and you've explained what hypnosis is, and you start to build that mental expectancy, your client might very well begin to let some of those feelings that have been bottled up for so long escape to the surface. And very often they begin to have that emotional reaction, the abreaction that we talk about, even before they've gone into hypnosis, because they're feeling so confident that you're going to be able to help them. And once you have the confidence of the client and they're feeling like you're the one and you're going to help them, that's a very, very big part of your job. Because once they believe in you, they're open to allow the change to happen. So use these little techniques. Step number 4, gathering information. Have your client intake form. You have their name on it and their phone number, and there's a lot of questions that I have on my form, and you'll have copies of this as well. But I don't go down this like a checklist asking all questions. I just have a conversation with my client. And I ask little questions, not as an interrogator, but as someone who's a friend, and I'm just getting to know them a little better. When you do this, you might be amazed at what you learn. I've had clients begin to open up and tell me things that they're like, you're the only other person in the world other than my mother that I've told this to. And I'm thinking, wow, they've only known me for about 15 minutes and they're telling me things that they've told no one else. Because once they feel confident in you, they're open to make the changes and learn so much from you. So you gather information and take lots and lots of notes so that you know where you're going when you're handling your sessions. Step number 5, show the client the power of their own imagination. They don't really realize that their imagination is very powerful. Your imagination is the playground of the subconscious mind. And when you use your imagination, you can make some wonderful changes. So show the client the power of his or her imagination. Only people of normal intelligence and imagination can be hypnotized. And that means that almost everybody can be hypnotized. The purpose of showing the client the power of their imagination, it sells the client on the fact that yes, they can be hypnotized. Here's some ways that you can do this, and the wording that you use is kind of important. And these are the words that we learned from our prototype person, that our mentor, Roy Hunter. I'd like to give you the opportunity to discover the power of your imagination. Everyone likes to have something given to them, and people like an opportunity. And they like to discover things. And what are they going to discover? The power of their own imagination. And then after they've done that, I did not make your fingers, hands, or whatever you've used move. You did it using the power of your imagination. The power of hypnosis is what you imagine. Okay, the eye lock. Like a little child, close your eyes and pretend that they're glued shut. And while you have them glued shut, now try and open your eyes, and you'll find it's impossible. And the client will try and open their eyes, and then they'll find that they're unable to do that. And then just say, stop trying, and go ahead now and open your eyes. Let your eyes go back to normal. I didn't do that. You locked your eyes shut using the power of your own imagination. When this happens, your client might find out that they're amazed that just with that little simple thing, you were able to have that eye lock. Sometimes we do something called magnetic fingers. Imagine that you interlock your hands and raise your fingers up. And in the tips of each hand, each finger, you have very powerful magnets. And now begin to imagine as you look at your fingers that your fingers are moving closer and closer together. Those magnets are very strong and they're pulling closer and closer and closer together. And soon your fingers will get so close that they will just touch. As you continue to give suggestions, watch the client's fingers move closer and closer. And when they touch, I didn't move your fingers together. You moved your fingers together using your own power of your imagination. Sometimes we use something called buckets and balloons. Close your eyes. Actually, have your client put their hands out first and close your eyes and begin to imagine that in one of your hands you have a very heavy bucket. And I begin to pour water into that bucket. You can hear it splashing. You can feel it getting heavier and heavier. And you can feel it moving around in the bucket, and it's pulling your arm down because it weighs so much. And it gets heavier and heavier as I pour more water into that. And now as that bucket gets heavier and heavier, on your other hand, I'm tying 50 helium balloons. And that begins to push those balloons, and they're getting higher and higher, and they begin to pull your hands more and more. And now that bucket is almost full, and it's so heavy, it's pulling your hands farther and farther down. Now open your eyes and look at your hands. I didn't move your hands like that. You moved your hands like that using your own power of imagination. Buckets of balloon works very well. I do this sometimes with individuals or with groups. Both work very well. Sometimes we do something called magnetic hands. And magnetic hands is put both your hands out and put your finger between the two hands. And then have them begin to imagine as you touch each palm that they have very, very strong magnets in each hand. And as they look forward through their hands, their arms stretched out, they begin to move those hands closer and closer together. And as you give those suggestions, their hands move closer and closer and closer until they touch. And then what do you say? I didn't move your hands closer together till they touched. You did that using your own power of imagination. One more, interlocking fingers. Interlock your fingers and close your eyes. And I'm going to count from 1 to 3. And as I do, your fingers become locked together tighter and tighter and tighter, just as if those fingers bent over are like nails that have been peened over. And your fingers are going to become locked so tight that no matter what you do, you'll be unable to pull them apart until I tap your hand. And then gradually count from 1 to 3, giving suggestions about the hand becoming locked tighter and tighter. And then have the client try and open their hands and find that it's impossible. And then give them a few moments, not too long. We don't want the conscious mind to come back and go, oh, wait a minute, I can do this. Just give them a little bit of time to feel that, and then tap their hands and say, okay, now you can pull your hands apart. Remember, I didn't make you do that. You did it using the power of your own imagination. Now, what if they don't respond very well? The fingers don't come together too well, their hands don't come together the client never does anything wrong. So if they don't do too well, just say, oh, good, that's good. Let's do one more. And have them stop doing that one and maybe do one more. Now, if your client doesn't do too well with any of these, it could be that they're just not going to be as simple to hypnotize as other people. Doesn't mean that they can't be hypnotized. Just might be a little bit more difficult. And you'll make a difference in the kind of induction that you'll use with that client. And at other times, you might find that these people are just what we call analytical resistors. They're looking at their fingers that are about an inch apart and they're going, well, why are my fingers apart like this? And why do I think that they're going to come together? There's no magnets in my fingers and they're not going to do that. They're just what we call analytical resistors. And you're going to learn inductions that will even help analytical resistors go into a nice state of hypnosis. So after you've completed the power of the imagination, there's something here that we call reciprocation, that you should take advantage of this. It's kind of a little psychological tool. When you give a gift to the client feels obligated to do something in return. And so, as a thank you for coming in and speaking to me today and doing this consultation, I'd like to give you a small gift just for coming in and listening to me today. And usually what we do is give the client maybe a booklet that we have printed, or even better, a relaxation CD, something that's short and easy to use, and we always put a value on it. It might be a short meditation, and when we print it, we put a value on it of anywhere from $10 to $20, so that the client knows that even though they're only in there for a consultation, you're giving them something of value. And once you've given them something of value, your client will often feel like reciprocating, which means very often they will be happy to take your services. So your client is satisfied with your talk and they're happy, which is really good. Else, it's time to have your agreement ready and ask your client, are they ready to take the course of action? You've already outlined what you're going to do, and you're going to get to the core cause, and you want them to fill out the agreement. So have them fill out the agreement, answer some more questions for you, sign your agreement, and then the plus that we always talk about, when you have that done, I ask the client, how do you want to take care of this today? And I will sometimes offer them a deal. Sometimes I'll offer them a package. You know, if you take this 3-session package, you'll save maybe $50 or whatever amount works out for you. Sometimes it's an 8-session package. And sometimes the more sessions they take, the more they save. So offer them a package deal and ask them if they take the package deal that they'll save this money, but they have to pay for it all up front. And if they pay for it all up front, you've got the money that you can put into your bank account, and you can be sure that your client is going to be coming in and attending their sessions. If you don't get the agreement signed and you just let them walk out of the office, there's a good possibility that you haven't convinced them of what's going on and they may not come back. So at the end, if you've covered all of the things that we've talked about in this particular show, you should have almost assured that your client will take your services. So when you get ready to do this, practice. Practice with friends and relatives until you feel very comfortable doing this, going through an intake, make sure all your forms are the way you like them and you feel good about it, and then you'll be ready to do a consultation. The next slide is a mock consultation. It's a video just giving you an idea of me doing a consultation with one of our students. Have you ever been to see anybody about this phobia? Medical doctors or anybody? No? Okay. Have you ever been hypnotized before?
No. I've done some like help you sleep YouTube hypnosis kind of things, but not in real life.
How'd you like those? Did you?
I like them. They were effective.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Found some good ones.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's really nice. So what do you know about hypnosis?
I don't know. I kind of like the spiral and gypsies and
Gypsies?
Yeah, Dracula.
You know, that's how most people think about hypnosis, or stage shows where somebody's jumping around doing something weird.
Mm-hmm.
But hypnosis is not really like that. You know, one of the things that I like everybody to know is that you just, with hypnosis, can't make you do anything that you wouldn't normally do.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people are afraid of that. And no one ever gets stuck in hypnosis. There's no hospitals with old people that have been in hypnosis all their lives, just doesn't work that way. And hypnosis is a natural state that people go in and out of all the time. You ever drive down the highway and you kind of look up and you go, oh, I can't remember the last few miles. What they typically call highway hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever watched TV or watched a movie, and there's a sad scene or a very emotional scene, a tear runs down your face, that's another form of hypnosis. You're just emulating with the key character and feeling the emotions that are there. And all of those emotions are in our subconscious mind. So let me explain a little bit. What we would like to do is find out you have this phobia of spiders and you're not sure where it happened or when it happened. And we always like to get down to what we call the core cause, or that initial sensitizing event. When was it that you became sensitized to spiders? So let me explain a little bit about what hypnosis is so that you can have a better understanding. In our conscious mind, we're pretty conscious right now. And I kind of say pretty conscious because our subconscious mind is always working in conjunction with our conscious mind. So in our conscious mind is our short-term memory. And short-term memory is kind of like, did you ever have a guy, you went out on a date and then he never called you back? Well, what happened is, he's really not a bad guy. Here's what happens. You were out someplace, you met somebody maybe at a club, and he said, oh, I really like you, I'll give you a call. What's your phone number? And you go, 253-279-7744. And so he's like, okay, that's her number. And he gets ready, he leaves you, he goes out to his car, 253-279, and his short-term memory ran out. he couldn't sustain it, because short-term memory really is only good for about 21 seconds. So before he even got out the door, he probably really, really wanted to meet you, but the short-term memory failed him a little bit.
I should
Okay.
find out where he lives then.
That's right. And probably beat him up.
Try
Okay, so short-term memory is there. All of your logic is there. All of your rationale. Those things are in your conscious mind. Your willpower. Is in your conscious mind. And people try and use willpower for this long, I'm going to get down and I'm going to reduce by 50 pounds or do something. And willpower is only meant to be used to override just a short-term thing. If you just needed to get up a hill that's another 100 feet and you just use your willpower to will yourself up that hill. If you find out there's another mile to go after that, you're like, I'm going home, forget it. Willpower is not going to sustain it. Usually when people try and extend it, there's a stronger program running in the subconscious mind that stops us from doing that. We have what I call inspiration. You're in a band and you're looking to come up with the next great song and you're working on the lyrics. All that new information comes right from your subconscious, from your conscious mind. Okay? I call that inspiration. That's where people invent things, new ideas come from. And in here also is what we call critical factor. Or I like to call this conscious resistance. And the critical factor is something that stops us from changing. It's kind of like when we try and get a suggestion through, the critical factor is going to be the part of our conscious mind that gets in the way. It's kind of like the gatekeeper. And I think of the gatekeeper this way. You're out doing something and you get this big gash in your leg, you wrap it with a towel and you go to the emergency room and it's like, I need to see a doctor right away because I'm bleeding really bad. And you're trying to get past the gatekeeper at the desk, and the gatekeeper's like, can you spell your first name, Jillian, for me? Do you have a middle initial? And how do you spell your last name? And all you want to do is get past the gatekeeper, but you just can't seem to do it. And that's what our critical factor is kind of like. We want to make changes, we want to get rid of that spider phobia, or that fear, and we just can't get rid of it because the critical factor is stopping anything from getting through. So let's take a look at some of the things that are in the subconscious mind. And in your subconscious mind is all of your long-term memories. Well, you might say, how long are all those memories? This memory goes all the way back to when you were first born. I mean, it's from today all the way back. All those memories are still there. We go through and we find them in hypnosis all the time. Now, along with the long-term memories are all of your emotions are there. And believe it or not, your emotions and your memories are all tied together. Sometimes you bring back a memory and with it comes an emotion. Sometimes it's a really happy one. You might think, oh, my 5th Christmas, that's the year I got that doll that walked with me. Okay? And all the emotions, you feel those. Or sometimes you're someplace and somebody does something and you feel really angry about it. The emotions are there, and then you remember, oh, I remember when I first got into a fight with somebody, that's where I felt those emotions. So all of our emotions and stuff are there. And sometimes in our long-term memory and emotions, sometimes we have an issue with a spider. And the long-term memory remembers it, but all we're feeling at this point is the emotions. We don't know where the memory is about it. Okay? So our beliefs are here. And our beliefs are just things that we've thought about, we've read about, different things, and we come to accept these as things that we believe to be true. And all the things that we believe to be true are our beliefs. It doesn't mean that anybody else believes everything that we do, but we have our own beliefs about stuff. And all of our habits are here. And all of our protection. When we go outside from a warm house, we go out in the wintertime and it's really cold and we don't have a jacket on, we kind of start to shiver. That's nothing more than our subconscious making us move these muscles to generate heat. It's always trying to protect us. And your habits are there, and all of our imagination is here. And our imagination is kind of the playground of the subconscious mind. When we imagine stuff, our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. You believe that? Let's do a little something. I'd like to give you an opportunity to discover the power of your own imagination. So would you do this for me? Interlock your fingers. And just pull 2 fingers apart and leave those 2 fingers there. And as you look at those 2 fingers, stare at those fingertips, I'm tying a little string here. And then I'm going to pull that string around, and as I do, your fingers begin to move together because I'm pulling and tying those strings tighter and tighter together. They're pulling closer and closer and closer until they'll be totally tied together. All the way pulling tighter and tighter, and now they're all the way close. Now, I didn't pull your fingers together. You pulled them together using your own imagination. Very cool. Very good. Either that or I really do have invisible string, but I kind of think it was your imagination that was more important to that. So this is where we want to go, and because all of your long-term memories, your emotions, your habits and beliefs, this is where we need to get to be able to let go of that spider phobia. And we can do this in probably 2 sessions. It's really not that difficult to get rid of that. The first session is we're going to help you learn a little bit about what hypnosis is. We'll put you into hypnosis, and we'll deepen you, put you into a little bit deeper state of hypnosis, get you prepared for when you're going to be going down and getting rid of that spider phobia. And we teach you how to de-stress. You'll find a peaceful place. We'll teach you self-hypnosis. And in your second session, we will be going down to a much deeper level and getting to the core cause. Does that sound like something that you want to do? So 2 sessions are $130 each, so you'll be looking at $260, and when you pay for 2 sessions up front, it takes $30 off of that. So if you'd like to do that and pay up front, we can do that. So do you want to begin and do this?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me give you some paperwork to start with. This is just a little agreement, and you can just take a look through that and fill that out. You don't actually have to fill it out. So you would go through, and if there's any questions, there's some questions on the back that you would go through, and if you can't answer some of these questions, that's okay. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Very good. Thank you for filling that all out. Mm-hmm. So do you want to take care of this today?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you like to do that?
The money?
Yeah.
I get debit card.
Debit card? Okay. So I would get my little swiper out, and I don't have it here. Joni's got it. Well, we would do the swiper and do all of that. And, okay. And when's a good time for you to come back?
Wednesday at 2.
Wednesday at 2. Let me just check here. Okay, Wednesday at 2. And what was your phone number again?
555.
1212?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. That's what I thought. So what I'm going to do in between is I'm going to use your email that you put here, and I'm going to send you a little program called 5 Minutes to Total Relaxation. And this will be a nice, easy program for you to relax, be comfortable, kind of get you in the process of hypnosis. And it's a great way to kind of de-stress. You ever have any stress in your job?
Never.
Never?
I'm
Oh,
just
okay,
kidding.
well, you're the one that doesn't have any stress. So I'll send that to you. Listen to it every day if you can until we come in, and then I'll see you next Tuesday.
Cool.
Okay?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, that's what I said. We can fix that hearing problem too.
Awesome.
Okay, any questions?
No,
That's a
was good.
consultation,
Cool.
and it's
awesome.
not that long. It winds up being maybe about a half hour.
Yeah.
It's not, but, there's a little, sometimes greeting out front, chit chat a little bit in the beginning, and,
Into the lemon scenario.
yeah, all kinds of, well, the lemon scenario, usually leave that to the first session. I do it there, and get
Kind
them
of
used to that.
involved.
Then they're already pre-prepped. Now, I got her ready to listen to the 5-minute relaxation. By the time she comes back in, next Wednesday, she's gonna listen to it 4 or 5 times. So she's already gonna experience hypnosis and relaxing that way. So when she comes in and we go through the lemon scenario, we talk a little bit more about the spider stuff, and then we do hypnosis. We'll do the feel-good session, teach your peaceful place trigger, go through all of the feel-good stuff. And we haven't studied it yet, but what we'll do for any kind of phobia, we use what's called affect bridge, or the feeling connection. So it would be put her into hypnosis in the second session, and where do you feel that in your body? Usually they feel it in the core area here. Oh, I feel it here. I get this gut reaction, or I feel it in my chest, or someplace like that. And then we follow that, count the feeling up, and then we follow it all the way back to the first time it was there. And now that you guys have passed basic, next week you'll start learning all that other stuff.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay, any questions?
What if they don't listen to the tape?
Then it kind of gives you a night when they come back. How did you like that little 5-minute, oh, you didn't have a chance to listen to it? Oh, okay, you were really too busy? Oh, okay.
So,
I don't say anything about it, it's other than I know that they're not as committed.
right.
For a phobia, it's not a big deal. If it's weight loss, and I know I'm gonna have to do 8 sessions over a couple of months, I probably would be more concerned about it.
So, is there the option to let them listen to it in your office before they leave, if they want? Say they have a lot of time, or is it more just like, take it home, do it there?
No, I'm busy. I don't have time to let them do that.
Okay. Just curious.
There's been times when I've done that. Just, I'll move them to the other room, and I'll put it in the other room, and you can sit back in the chair and just listen to it for 5 minutes, okay? While I continue, and I'll sit in here and do paperwork. And I'll come back out after about 5 minutes, and, you don't want them to think that you're sitting there all day and you have nothing better to do but, have people hanging around listening to CDs.
True. Alright.
That's why I very seldom have people come in for a consultation and do a session the same day, unless they're traveling a long distance.
Right.
And they say, so I don't have to travel that far, I'd really like to do a session the same day.
Alright, sounds good. I like how it went on there, you left off at imagination, and then you're like, so I'll show you the power of your imagination.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool how
It
it
just
ties
segues
in.
right into it.
Yeah, so that's good to remember.
Now, I made a video but maybe you don't have a whiteboard and maybe you're not high tech. So let's go back in the other room. Because as part of your inspiration, I did something else. Well, I hope that gave you a good idea of what the consultation is like. If you have any questions or comments, email me at rzukowski.cht@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to get back to you with any questions that you have. I hope this has covered everything that you need to have a nice, effective consultation. So for more information about Aldebaran Institute of Healing Arts, contact Joni and Ray Zukowski at www.aldebaranhypnotherapy.com. And we're located in Puyallup, Washington, but we also do sessions via Skype. We do classes via Skype and sometimes Google. So our phone numbers are 253-223-9332. That reaches me directly. And if you'd like to speak with Joni, call 253-279-9944. Thank you for listening. I hope this helped you today.